Welcome to r/slash Prorevenge, where a dumb parent manages to get himself arrested. Our next Reddit post is from Dragon Dad. A few weeks ago, I was driving in my neighborhood playing Pokemon Go. While not driving, obviously. The end of my neighborhood has a Pokestop that I collect items from every day. I drove to the stop, got the items, set the phone on my passenger seat, and went home. The road I was driving on was 20 miles per hour, but I was going about 12 to 13 miles per hour. I drive up a small hill and turn a corner when a wild family appears, including the butthole dad. The wife, her friend, and the 3 kids walking with them stepped off the side of the road to let me pass. However, the butthole dad, who had a young 3-year-old boy in one arm and a Budweiser bottle in the other, actually stepped closer to my car and yelled something at me. I was trying to be as safe as possible, so I stopped my car, rolled down my window, and asked if he was all right. The conversation was as follows. "Are you guys all right? Why'd you step into the road?" "You see my family, right?" "Yeah, what about them?" "You know you were driving too fast for this neighborhood, right?" "Sir, I was only going about 12 miles per hour and the speed limit is 20 miles per hour here. I was not driving too fast." "Well, you almost hit me and my son." "Yeah, because you stepped closer to a moving vehicle. The only one putting you guys in danger was yourself." At this point, the butthole dad looks at my phone in the passenger seat and says, "Just to be clear, here in Illinois, you can't be on your phone while driving. I'm calling the cops." I said, "I know, I live here in Illinois." "Then you should know the laws. I'm calling the cops." Have fun with that. And with that, I just left. I know that I probably should have stayed, but since I didn't actually do anything wrong, I wasn't taking his threat seriously. I went home and made some ramen to eat. As I was sitting in my dining room, I look out the window and nearly choke on my noodles. The butthole dad followed me home. He was on the cell phone with the dispatcher, and I thought that I was screwed. About 5 minutes later, 2 cop cars show up with 3 police officers. I stepped outside thinking that I was done for. The officer started to question the 2 of us. Officer 1 said, "OP, do you know why we're here?" I said, "I have a pretty good idea what you think you're doing here, but why don't you let me know?" "This gentleman called us saying that you attempted to run his family over after you got caught texting while driving and going way over the speed limit." My mind went blank for a few seconds. This prick actually said that I had attempted vehicular manslaughter. My mind started working again and I said, "Sir, that couldn't be farther from the truth. I was driving home from playing Pokemon Go on my phone when this man stepped close to my car while I was driving. My phone was on the passenger seat the entire ride home." The butthole dad said, "He's lying. He nearly killed my family. Arrest him now." The cop said, "Sir, calm down. We'll settle this." "OP, what was this man doing when the incident occurred?" Suddenly, an idea popped into my head, and right there on the fly, the revenge started. Well, he was walking with his family along the side of the road, carrying a young boy on one arm and holding a beer bottle in the other. "That's not true, you piece of garbage!" The cop said, "Sir, control yourself." I continued. As I drove by them, the rest of the family went to the side of the road, but he actually stepped closer to my car. I think he got within an inch of me. "This is BS! He's just trying to protect himself." "Sir, if what he's saying is true, you could actually be arrested here, not him." "Are you sure that's what happened, OP?" "Yeah, positive. He got way too close to my moving vehicle holding a child and a bottle of Miller Lite." "It wasn't Miller Lite, it was a Budweiser." He cut himself off and tried to backtrack, but it was too late. All the officers looked at him. He tried to defend himself, but then one of the cops said something that I thought I would never hear a cop say in my life. "Sir, have you had anything to drink this evening?" No." They move him to one of the cop cars and give him a breathalyzer test. 0.12%, just over the limit. "Gotcha, butthole." The guys ended up confessing to the cops that I was right and was arrested for public intoxication and child endangerment. He now has to go before a judge to determine if he's a danger to his family. The officers asked if I wanted to press any charges, but I told them no, since he already had enough on his plate to deal with. Our next Reddit post is from Double J. The build up to this revenge is that my friend had a horrible boss. My friend worked HR and managed payroll at what was effectively a nursing home. The company had a bit of a good old boys club going on, with all the highest level management being older men who did less work and got more pay than pretty much everyone else. There were regular complaints about women being mistreated, and many women were fired for absolutely absurd reasons, followed by their male coworkers getting raises. That in and of itself was bad, but it's not what instigated the need for revenge. What caused the burning desire to get back at the company was when the company fired my friend's manager, who was a woman, because she took a week off work for literally breaking her leg. The HR department had already been badly understaffed, so my friend had to take on the responsibilities of this manager without any pay bonus. She requested a pay bonus multiple times and was denied each time. A month or so later, the company hired a new manager to replace the old one at nearly twice the salary. This new manager was an older man. I'm not entirely sure what this new manager actually did during the day because my friend continued to do all of the managerial tasks. And she knows for a fact that the new manager didn't even have access to the systems that he needed access to. And he never asked for that access. For 6 months, my friend showed this manager issues with her system, including payroll, and explained that she was the only one who had access to it. This sexist douchebag ignored her and made regular comments about how she was replaceable and useless. One day, my friend just loses her cool. She used her credentials to set up a program to automatically pay her out each pay period, according to her actual salary, so she wasn't stealing or anything. She then carefully planned her next move and put in her 2 weeks notice, right before a large department-wide week off, and right before her only coworker had a 2-week vacation. The manager still fired my friend, thinking that he could just hire someone who knew what they were doing. Little did he know, my friend had tweaked with the payroll software over her time there. It was nothing super awful, but it was very different from what the base software was. She was the only person who knew how to properly use it, and the only person in the whole company, including the CEO, who had access to the necessary numbers to actually run the payroll. When she left after the 2 weeks, the company had 2 whole pay periods where they didn't pay their employees. They couldn't. But my friend still got paid because they never disabled her automatic payment thing. They couldn't. Eventually, they called her up and basically begged her to consult with them on their payroll. For the past 6 months, she's been paid $250 an hour for 5 hours a week to run the company payroll. Also, the job is fully remote, even though it was an in-person job before. And to top it all off, she doesn't even have to actually work the 5 hours. She wrote a script on her personal device to process payroll for her. She just has to press one button. She's working another job now, but man, she really screwed them over. So out of curiosity, I did the math on this, and OP's friend was getting paid a $60,000 a year salary to do 1 hour of work per day. It's crazy how fast this went from a nightmare job to a dream job. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. So I'm in the army and I was married. I was approaching my first deployment to Iraq. It was very stressful, and my wife wanted me to find a way to stay and not deploy. That's an obvious thing that any wife would want. Anyways, we have no kids, but we both want kids. We also talk about getting out of debt while I'm gone. My wife talks to her best friend back home in another state where we're both from. My wife's friend agrees to let her move in, and she charges a modest $300 rent so that we can get out of debt and start a family when I come back. This was a plan that I was actually very pleased with. When I deploy, she's there crying her eyes out, saying that she'll miss me, she loves me, and we'll start a family when I get back. Fast forward 2 months, and she starts acting distant. She doesn't want to talk much during our scheduled calls, and she texts back 1 or 2 word answers. We've been together for 6 years, and during that time, she was never at a loss for words. Anyways, one day she says, "I need some space." She asks someone who's 10,000 miles away for space. I ask why, and she says that she just needs some space. She wants to find herself. So I remember back when we lived at home, she had a guy friend who was always being borderline inappropriate. I'm not a very jealous person and I trust her. So then I start seeing this guy in basically all of her pictures that she posts online. Every single time he's in the picture. Everyone else changes, but never him. So for the first time, I'm very jealous and uneasy about everything. So I clone her phone, and I receive every text that she receives as well as every text that she sends. I'll never forget the first text that I saw after cloning her phone. "Hey babe, I'll see you after work. Want me to save you any of my leftovers?" The message was from her to him. It destroyed me. I didn't eat or sleep. I stared at the phone watching every conversation. I watched them talk about trying to have a baby. It was literally everything that a married person fears. So I asked my wife if she's seeing someone, and she says, "No, I'm not. She says that she's taking care of herself and she loves me, blah, blah, blah." I don't say anything about the text messages for the next 2 months. Over this time, she finally admits to cheating, and she says that he's so much better than me at passionate hugging. He also treats her right, and he does what she wants. During this time, she pays off our debt and gets tattoos with him, matching "I love you" tattoos. She goes to shows with him and buys clothes with the money that I'm making. So this is where the revenge starts. I put a freeze on my account. Then I change every password to every shared account. I block her on Facebook and my phone so that she has no way to contact me. She got her car repossessed a few months later, got kicked out of her place, had to sell her prized shoes and purses just to stay alive. I then found out that she got a job at her old restaurant. So I post all the text conversations that I saved between her and her boyfriend to our friend group. I then have these friends call and complain at her job constantly on both him and her. They work together at the restaurant, so I also have friends dine and dash. They both get fired. So she tries to call my command and tell them that I abandoned her and that she can't provide for herself. My commander already knows what's going on. He does nothing because he had something similar happen to him. Then, about a month before I return home, she calls me from a different number to tell me that she's pregnant with the other guy's kid. Mind you, I'm still gone, so we can't get divorced yet. Then she moved 10 hours away from our home. Then, 5 months later, she calls me, still pregnant, crying uncontrollably, asking me where she should go. Apparently, they had a giant blow-up fight and she left him. She says that she doesn't know where to go, and I simply say, "Sorry, not my problem anymore." Fast forward 8 months. She calls me from a mutual friend's phone. "He hit me. I don't know what to do." Well, maybe don't cheat on your husband when he's deployed for some guy who talks a big game. "Well, I guess you're happy about this." No, but I'm glad I know that I'm not the bad guy in this story. Then, the next month, she called me back and said that he's cheating on her with 2 girls. She said, "I'm sorry. I regret everything I did. I messed everything up." Yeah, you did. All in all, this woman destroyed my life. She put me into a deep depression that I'm still dealing with. But I do feel a little better having proof that I wasn't the problem. To think, if this happened 10 or 5 years ago, I would have come back to an empty bank account, an empty house, as well as seeing my then wife pregnant with another man's baby. She actually hit me up yesterday to ask for some money to help cover rent. Okay, admittedly, I don't fully understand how the military works. Is that a thing where if you marry someone and then you're deployed and then they get knocked up with someone else's baby, the military expects you to keep, giving that person money? That was r/Prorevenge, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. So hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.